If your garden failed this season, I want you to hear this. That does not mean you failed. It means your garden exposed a weak spot in your gardening system, not a weakness in you. I have had a few painful reminders of that this season. A large critter, the groundhog, destroyed my broccoli and Allport rhubarb grow bags. A heat wave wiped out my beets, onions, and leeks, and my American groundnut grow bag just refuses to take off. So if you ever have walked outside, looked at a container, and felt that sinking feeling of course this happened to me, I get it. But this is where most people get gardening wrong. They think a failed plant means they are bad at gardening. They think they forgot something, missed something, or just not have a green thumb. But nature does not think in individual plants. Nature thinks in ecosystems. When something fails, the question is not, what is wrong with me? The question is, what part of the system was missing? Modern gardening advice trains people to think in isolated pieces. Pick a plant, buy a container, add potting mix, water it, maybe spray something if bugs show up. But that is not how nature works. Nature works through relationships. Soil, structure, minerals, microbes, mulch, insects, shade, plant diversity, roots, and timing. When we ignore those relationships, one bad event can wipe out the whole container. The critter damage taught me something obvious, but important. A grow bag is not just a plant holder. It's an exposed food source sitting outside in the middle of an ecosystem. If I plant something young and vulnerable, without protection, scent confusion, physical barriers, or companion plants, that makes the area less inviting. I'm basically hoping the local wildlife leaves it alone. And hope is not a system. So the rooted systems lesson is, a resilient garden does not just feed plants. It also has to account for pressure from animals, insects, weather, environment around it. The heat wave taught me a different lesson. The beets, onions, and leeks did not fail because they were bad plants. When the sun gets brutal, a container heats up fast. The soil dries out faster. The roots have less protection than they would in the ground. And suddenly the plant is not really growing anymore. It's just trying to survive. A part of the weakness may have also been genetic. Some varieties simply are not built to handle that kind of heat. Some seed lines are selected for perfect farm conditions, not a hot grow bag in a small backyard. And when the pressure hits, the weak plants disappear first. The strong ones survive. Don't think of this as a failure. This is your garden exposing the plants with the best genetics for your environment. Failure tells you which crops need better timing, better shade, better soil protection, or better genetics. That is why in the rooted systems, we care about mulch, soil structure, water retention, shade relationships, planting in the right season, and eventually saving seeds for the plants that actually survive your conditions. Because the goal is not to create a perfect garden. The goal is to create a garden that adapts, recovers, and gets stronger over time. And then there is my American groundnut grow bag. This one is frustrating because nothing dramatic happened. No critter attack, no instant disaster. It just has not grown the way I wanted. This is one of the hardest kinds of garden failure because there's no villain that I can point to. A critter didn't dig up my seeds. A heat wave didn't wipe them out. The seeds just didn't sprout. The germination rate could have been low. The grow bag environment could be off. Or it can be a problem that's something completely different. But that's also part of ecosystem gardening. Some plants need more time. Some need different soil biology. Some need better companions. Some need a different container time or different expectations. This is why I like forgotten crops and perennial food plants. But I realize that they don't always behave like common annual vegetables. Sometimes we just have to observe what we grow before we can learn to correct it. This is the big lesson. A failed garden should not become another source of guilt. Modern life already gives people enough of that. We're overworked, underpaid, disconnected from nature, stuck inside staring at screens, and then when our garden fails, we treat it like proof that we cannot even do this one good thing. But rooted systems is built on a different belief. Your garden is not supposed to be another test you pass or fail. It is supposed to be a living system you build, learn from, and return to. When that system starts working, it gives you daily proof that you can still build something beautiful, healthy, abundant, and alive. That is why rooted systems starts underneath the plant. Most people fill a grow bag like it is just a big plot. They dump soil, a plant, water, and hope the plant figures it out. But a grow bag has to do several jobs at once. It has to drain without drying too fast. It has to hold enough moisture to survive heat. It has to give roots room to explore. It has to feed soil life. It has to provide minerals. And it has to protect the plants when conditions get stressful. That is why I use what I call the 4-layer grow bag system. Instead of treating the bag like one big pile of potting mix, each layer has a job. The bottom helps with structure, drainage, and long-term breakdown. The middle becomes the main root zone. The mineral layer gives the soil a deeper foundation than generic fertilizer. And the compost helps feed and protect the biology near the surface. Then there's a mineral side. Most people are taught to think of plant food as 3 numbers on a fertilizer bag: nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. But plants are not built from 3 numbers, and living soil needs more than quick feeding. That is why rooted systems uses a 6 mineral stack. The point is not to make gardening complicated. The point is to stop treating soil like a dead filler. A grow bag should not just hold a plant. It should support a living system around that plant. Companion planting is about relationships. Biodiversity is about resilience. And plant breeding or locally adapted varieties are about growing plants that can handle your real conditions, not some perfect garden fantasy. The point is not to avoid every failure. The point is to build a garden that gets stronger because you learn from each failure. And this matters because for a lot of us, gardening is not just about food. It's about getting outside again, moving again, feeling sunlight again, having something to care for, having a reason to check in tomorrow. A successful garden can start rebuilding the gardener. But first, the garden needs to become a living system. That is what rooted systems is about. Rooted systems rebuilds the garden into a living system, so the garden can rebuild the gardener. If you are tired of guessing your way through another season, I made a free small space ecosystem garden map. It shows what belongs in grow bags, vertical towers, and small spaces, so you can stop collecting random tips and start building a living system. You can grab it below. And in the comments, tell me this. What has been your most frustrating garden failure so far? Was it pests, heat, soil, watering, or a plant that just refused to grow?